The farther in we went, the faster the winds blew. At last we came to the inner hurricane and entered the eye wall, a ring of heavy clouds around the storm's center. In the eye wall, the winds were blowing the fastest yet, and the rain was coming down in sheets. How fast do winds blow inside a hurricane? By Carmen. Outer hurricane, 40 miles per hour. Middle hurricane, 74 miles per hour. Inner hurricane, 120 to 150 miles per hour. How fast is the wind blowing at the eye wall, kids? The eye wall is the fiercest part of the hurricane. We're encountering trouble, class. Turbulence is when the air is violently disturbed. I am violently disturbed. Eye wall, Arnold. All around were columns of air and hot towers or chimneys that were sucking up more and more hot, moist air from the ocean. The heat energy from the air was feeding the storm and making it stronger. The plane was shaking, and so were we. I'm all shook up. Please stay seated, class. So here's the eye. Cold air is going down. Warm air from the ocean is going up this hot tower. This is the eye wall. And that's the plane. Hey, kid, how do you get out here? It's a long story. Waves will be as high as a house. The wind speed here is 40 miles per hour. Then, suddenly, everything was quiet. Class, we've entered the eye, or center of the hurricane, announced Miss Frizzle. The ocean waves still crashed below, and the winds howled outside. But in the eye, only gentle breezes blew. Up above, the sky was blue. The sun was shining, and we relaxed and enjoyed ourselves. Peace and quiet. Balmy breezes. The eye. Where we are in the hurricane. The eye wall. Arnold. Land. It's quiet in the eye of a hurricane, by Carlos. The fierce swirling winds of the hurricane do not enter the center of the storm. Winds. We flew about 30 miles across the eye. Then the Frizz called out, "We will enter the other side of the eye wall now." "Don't go," we cried, but the plane was already on its way, back into the hurricane's fierce wind and rain. "We're trying to reach land before the full force of the hurricane hits." Good idea. "The hurricane is approaching land. There will be heavy flooding along the coast." Why don't hurricane winds blow into the eye? By Shirley. The winds swirl in toward the eye of the storm, but they do not enter it because they are pushed out by the same force that pushes you outward when you spin around. The entire hurricane was moving across the ocean toward land, and we are going right with it. The right forward of the corner of the hurricane, as you are looking toward the land, has the strongest wind and rain and the highest ocean waves, shouted the Frizz. Naturally, she flew directly into that part. How Hurricanes Travel, by Wanda. When a hurricane starts, it usually moves slowly, about 110 to 20 miles per hour. As the storm gets farther north, its speed can increase to 60 miles an hour. Hurricanes can travel hundreds of miles each day. Which part of the hurricane is the strongest? By Flory. The right front center is the strongest because the whirling winds are circling towards the shore. They add their strength to the winds that move the storm forward. A hurricane moves like a top spinning across the floor. It moves two ways. It spins around and travels forward. The eye. Storm's right front, right rear. Storm moving forward. Storm's left front, left rear. Most damage will be done here. Arnold should be reaching land any minute now. Let's take a spin. The hurricane should be reaching land any minute now. We must evacuate before the floods come. Tell me about it. Another weather word by Dorothy Ann. When people evacuate an area, they get out of there fast. As the hurricane approached land, the wind pulled up the trees by the roots and blew the roofs off houses. It also blew ashore a huge dome of water called the storm surge. The ocean rose 10 feet higher than usual, and on top of that there were giant waves. We were horrified as we watched the storm surge sweep over the shore below. Flooding from the storm surge often causes more damage than the wind class. It is also responsible for more loss of life. Look down, it's horrible. The water is coming in. Board up windows, sandbags, evacuate. Hurricanes Then and Now by Ralphie. In the past, there was less property damage. Today, coastal areas are more built up, so more houses and buildings are damaged in hurricanes. In past times, people did not know if a hurricane was coming. Today, weather reports warn people. If people are able to evacuate in time, these warnings can save lives. But that was nothing compared to the horror we felt when we heard the Frizz shouting above the sound of roaring water. "We seem to be running out of gas, children." Sure enough, the plane was dipping lower and lower. As we fell into the water, we saw Arnold waving to us from a nearby roof. "That kid looks familiar. That plane looks familiar. Arnold, we need to evacuate now." "Maybe we can help someone."